Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting, and welcome back to North Dakota. It was negative 60 degrees here with wind chill the other day, so it's definitely been cold here. But that didn't mean we stopped playing games here. We definitely kept playing games, kept trucking through, and we're doing another reviews and ratings episode today where I review and rate all the different games I've been playing the past 2 weeks with friends, family, and even solo. And we've got 8 different games we're going to be talking about, and you know the drill. We're going to go from my least favorite to my favorite, and just give a quick overview and review of each of these games and some of my final thoughts on each of these games. And the first 3 games we're going to be talking about were games that I played with my family during Christmas time, so they're very light, family-friendly games. So the first game we're going to be talking about is Tenzi. Now, Tenzi is a game I've seen sold everywhere here in North Dakota, from Shields to grocery stores to gas stations, stuff like that. I just see Tenzi everywhere, but I've never played it before. And my family, my parents picked up a pack of Tenzi, which is basically, I think there's 10 sets of 10 dice, or maybe less than that. I don't know, maybe six sets of 10 dice. And it's basically the basic rules of Tenzi are you roll all your dice and as fast as you can, trying to roll one specific number. That's the game. That is Tenzi. And I had no idea what that was before, I played it for the first time. I broke it out and like, oh, that's this. Then there's a bunch of different variations that you can play, like you have to stack your dice up on top of each other. But altogether, it's just a bunch of dice and you make your own rules, basically. I don't understand why this is sold everywhere. Once I seen it and I've read the rules, I'm like, oh, this is basically not a game. This is going to get a 3 rating. I don't understand how this... It's just basically you're going to buy it for a bunch of dice. And then you can play some speed dice rolling games, but it's not much of a game at all. So a 3 rating for Tenzi. I'm glad I finally understand what it is, though, for sure, since I see it everywhere. Next, we're going to go with Butts in Space, the card game, which is a game my sister bought for the family to play during Christmas time. And this is basically a very simple set collection game with fartsy butt jokes all around. It's in the same realm of, say, Exploding Kittens, but you're going to get a hand of cards each turn and play as many cards as you can, basically, and try to get sets of toilet paper. And whoever's got the most sets of toilet paper at the end of the game wins. It's going to get a 5.5. It's a fine little set collection game, but, there's not really much strategy. It's funny to play with the kids, once or twice, but then that funniness kind of wears off pretty fast, when you're playing a game and you're more looking at the mechanics after a play or two, then you're like, okay, this is just a very kind of dull set collection game. So yeah, 5.5 for Butts in Space. Going to the next game. The next game is also another game we played for Christmas. This is the worst case scenario card game. And in this game, you are going to have basically 5 different scenarios. You're going to have a person, a victim, I think they're called, and they are going to choose what scenarios they think are worst to best. And then they're going to secretly pick those numbers. And then everybody else has to try to guess what that person thinks was the worst and the best, and so on and so forth. And you're going to get points for matching up their number. Like, oh, they thought, being swarmed by some bees was the worst. And they thought swimming with sharks was the best for some reason. But you're like, okay, whatever, and you're just trying to guess what they're doing. This is going to get a 6 rating. I would say this is definitely more like an activity than a game. It's funny. You can play it, and you're just kind of... It involves more discussion and talking to people rather than actually playing a game. So, it's a 6 rating. It's whatever. I had a decent time playing it and having some fun with the family. And oh, why would you pick that over this one? Then, so it feels more like that activity sort of than a game. But a 6 rating for the worst case scenario card game. Going on to the next one. The next game is actually the game that I had the most expectations for of any of these games on this list. This is the Fox Experiment. And I kickstarted this game and got the deluxe edition, and it looks really, really nice. In this game, you are basically drafting different fox to try to breed them to make friendlier foxes throughout the generation, to basically make them pets. And you are going to draft these fox that get certain dice that have certain traits on them. You're going to then roll these dice at the end of each round. Your parents' foxes give you dice. You're going to roll these, and you're going to basically create a new pup, a new fox, that is going to go into the drafting pool next round. And the foxes get friendlier and friendlier, so you're going to roll more and more dice as the game goes on. You play a couple different rounds. At the start of the game, you're going to be rolling like maybe 5 or 6 dice for these fox. By the end of the game, you are rolling handfuls of dice, like 15, 16 dice possibly on your turn. There are some other things happening. You get to get to name your pups, your fox that you breed out. You're gonna have certain objective cards that you're trying to fulfill. For these, you're gonna get some special powers, like you're gonna be able to roll more dice, or you're gonna be able to create more than one pup per turn, things like that. So there's a little bit going on there. This one's gonna get a 6.5 rating. This is a game I might get, hit pretty hard for this one. But a lot of reviewers seem to really like this game. To me, it was just roll a handful of dice and hope you get, the best DNA traits for your particular foxes, and you just get more and more and more dice, getting more and more powerful fox as the game goes on. But it felt very monotonous to me, and I've played this game 4 times, and from one game to the other, I felt like I was doing the same things, and not. Even worse is I felt like I was doing the same thing from round to round. You're just rolling more dice. And like I said, a lot of reviewers seem to really enjoy this. I had a lot of expectations for this. And then I played it and I was kind of getting bored a little bit. It's going to get a 6.5 rating. It's not like I hate this game, but for a game that I had such high expectations for, it definitely fell short for myself. I've played it 4 times now, and now it's on my for sale pile. It's a game that it was one of my most anticipated games for this last year that delivered, and I'm like, oh, it looks beautiful. The components are great. But I mean, I don't find the fun in it. It's fine, but it's not a game that I want to come back to, especially after I've played it 4 times now. Going on to the next game. The next game is Disney Animated, which is this game where you are being the producers, or you're animating these different Disney films. So you could be animating 101 Dalmatians, or Snow White, or Aladdin. And it's a cooperative game. And for each player is trying to complete their film. They are trying to draw the background, and then they're trying to animate the characters, bring the characters onto their background, and then they're trying to bring the villain into their particular story. If everybody does that, then you win the game. The game is going to be fighting back against you. Everybody's going to take their turn, and then the bad things are going to happen. The villains are going to basically attack you. It's an action selection game, very similar to Ark Nova, though, where you have an action selection set of actions up here, and it's just a little trail, and it's numbered 1 through 5. If you take the 5 action, the further along the track, the better that action becomes, like Ark Nova. And when you take that action, then that one comes to the number 1 slot, and everything moves further. It slides down. And so the actions are going to be fluctuating, how good those actions are. It's definitely not as good as Ark Nova, but I like that action selection system. But to me, so in this game, you have to write your background, then you have to animate the characters, and then you have to do the villains. It's very cookie cutter. This is how you play the game. And I tend not to like the games that force you to do things in a certain order. And this one definitely does that. And I mean, it looks great produced, except for these tiles these background tiles that you're putting on there. They're very, very tight. So you have to jam pack these into that frame that they go into. And the game itself, it's fine. I played it 3 times, and I'm kind of done with it. I was really excited when I read the rules. I'm like, oh, this could be really cool. But the fact that you have to do things in order, and it tells you what you have to do each round, rather than have more of a sandbox sort of feel. It's like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. So yeah, 6.5 for Disney Animated. It is as well is going to be going into my for sale pile. It was fine for a couple games, but now I'm kind of over it. Going on to the next game. The next game is a button shy game. And button shy games, the last few have been kind of bummers for me. They haven't been like terrible games, but they haven't been like shining for myself. And For this game, it is a multi-use game where you are trying to lay out a train of cars and put passengers in these specific train cars. And like most button shy games, these are multi-use cards. You can either play them as the train card. When you play them as a train card, you have to discard certain cards out of your hand. Like if it's a 3 train card, you have to discard 3 cards out of your hand. And then you're going to be trying to put tickets into these slots, these train cars, these passengers, and you are then going to activate that train's special ability, whatever that particular thing is. You're also going to have some special passengers that have specific things that they need in their train car or adjacent train cars. So it's sort of this puzzly sort of feel to it. You have 3 or 4 rounds to get your best score, basically use as many cards as you possibly can, and then the game's over. And if you have 4 cards left over that you did not use for this game, you lose. If you have less, then you win in certain degrees. This one's going to get a 7.5. This one, for a button shy game to get a 7.5, that means it's really good in my book, because there's only 18 cards in these button shy games, and to get a 7.5, that's really good. I would say that's like an 8 or 9 rating in other games. But for this game, it does everything button shy games, the good button shy games does for me. It's short, it's thinky, it's easy rule set, and probably most importantly for button shy games for myself is it is addicting. I want to play this over and over and over again. I mean, the first time when I learned it sat on my shelf for several months actually. And the first time I played it, I'm like, oh, okay, and I played it and I played it again. I played it like 5 or 6 times the first time that I played this game. So it's got that addicting nature that I really want button shy games to have. So 7.5 for the Royal Limited. Going to the next game, we go from a button shy game to a big giant game. This is Cthulhu Death May Die, which is a big giant CMON game with miniatures. It's got the Cthulhu theme in it. You are playing as investigators trying to disrupt the rituals that are happening from the cultists in order to try to defeat whatever the boss is. This is a plug-and-play style game. There are 6 different episodes that you can play in this base box, and there's 2 different giant bosses that you can play. You have to pick one of the episodes and one of the bosses to play. And the episodes will change the scenarios of the game. The bosses will change what kind of monsters are sort of in that particular episode, and they act differently, the bosses act differently. And so I really like the plug-and-play system as a whole for this game, and as CMON has been doing lately, that you just pick your plug-and-play sort of thing, sort of like the FFG game Marvel Champions. You pick a hero and you pick a bad guy. For this, you pick a episode and you pick the bad guy. You also pick a hero that you're going to be playing as, or investigator, whatever they're called in this particular game. And the investigators have really powerful special abilities, and I really like them in this game. And one of my favorite part of this game is you've got a health track, but you also have this insanity track that you're going to be going along. If you go so far on the insanity track, you basically die, but you kind of want to go farther on this insanity track because there are going to be certain thresholds that you're going to be hitting on that insanity track, which is going to let you level up your character. So the more insane your character becomes, the more powerful they become. You have like these 3 skills, and you're going to be upgrading these skills every time you hit one of these thresholds, and you choose from one of these 3 to choose from to upgrade that particular skill. And there's 10 different characters in this game, and I really like the special abilities in this. Each character has one extremely personal skill that they have that nobody else has. And then there's a couple other skills that, like stealth or, marksman, stuff like that other people can have, but it's just kind of a mismatch of their abilities. And I really like the characters in this. My favorite part is leveling up those characters. And you don't want to move up too far on that insanity track because you're gonna get killed from it, but you do want to move up a little bit so that you can get to upgrade your powers. So that's my favorite part of the game. It's just a big giant dice chucking game in the realm of Zombicide, but I like this much more than Zombicide. It's going to get an 8 rating. This is one of those games that I'm not sure where this game is going to end up. I've played this game 6 or 7 times now, so I've not played it. I've played it quite a bit, but I haven't played it like a ton. But this is one of those games I think it could go higher, or it could eventually go lower. I might get sick of the system, who knows. But right now, this was a Christmas present from one of my good friends, and I've really enjoyed it so far. So we'll see where it ends up in the future, and I'm looking some more expansions for it to see where this one goes. Maybe it'll go really, really high. Maybe it'll drop off. Who knows? But yeah, so 8 rating for Cthulhu Death May Die. Going to the next game. The next game is our last game we're going to be talking about. It's definitely the biggest surprise for me. This is Disney Lorcana. Disney Lorcana is a CCG or TCG where you are going to be collecting cards, and it's in the realm of Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, those type of games. And I usually kind of stay away from them. And this game got released a while back, but it wasn't widely available, and I wasn't going to spend hundreds of dollars like a lot of people were to get this set when it was not available. Now it is definitely more available. You can go get it at Target or any of those other places. And it's a very simple game so far. Right now, it's a very easy to get into TCG. And I ended up playing this with my girlfriend, and it was her first experience with that type of game. And in this game, you're going to be playing out characters, and then you're going to be questing for lore. And once someone gets 20 lore, that's when the game ends. Or you can attack another player if their character is, not ready. Because ready is straight up, and, if you lay your character down to quest or attack another player, they basically become vulnerable for attacks for the other players. And all the characters have different special abilities, so you have to be really, really careful. And I've really enjoyed it. It's going to get an 8.5. I really like that I can play this game with my girlfriend, who's not used to these type of games. So it's very simple right now, but I can see this game getting more complex as more sets come out, as more keywords come out. And right now it's a little bit too simple for myself, but I can see the potential for it, where I'm going to really, really enjoy it. I already really like it, but I can see the potential for this being a really good game. And if it's widely available, every time I go to Target or something, maybe I'll buy a pack or two for, $5 or whatever it is at the time. I think it's a good game, and I was really surprised by it because I was not expecting for myself to really like it at all. But it turns out I want to keep playing this game. I want to buy more sets for it as the sets keep coming out. So yeah, 8.5 for Disney Lorcana. That will complete this reviews and ratings episode. Make sure to comment down below your thoughts on some of these games, if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Either way, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe to see more weekly content from me, Shane, at the board meeting in the future. Hope you all have an amazing day. Take care.